Welcome back to the Denton Volleyball Center here in Denton, Texas. I'm Mercedes Zaragoza, and I have with me tonight Amanda Batchelder. We're going to be covering this UNT Baylor game. It's a really exciting, popular game here. All the tickets are sold out here in Mean Green Village, and we've seen some matchups between UNT and Baylor actually earlier this year. So Amanda, why don't you take me through that?
So these Baylor Bears are very dominant against this Mean Green squad. They've notched 7 wins against this Mean Green squad, not necessarily this year, but just between 2005 and 2021. The sole Mean Green win came in 2012 here at home. They swept the Bears. But truly, it's been a lot of one or the other, not much of a competition between these two teams when it comes to how they've been over the years.
No, yeah, and we have two very, very different teams, both under D1, yet UNT is in a CUSA smaller conference, while you have Baylor, the Baylor Bears in the Big 12 conference. So it's great to have them come out. Obviously, you can see it in this gym. It's just electrifying. These fans are waiting for this matchup here today. And just talking about some common enemies here against both teams. So UNT played Rice their last time at home here and lost in 0-3 sets. Baylor went and played Rice in Houston and actually got the win over them 3-0. Another one was early on, UNT played McNeese State in their first, I believe that was their home opener. It was definitely their first tournament here in Mean Green Village for the 2021 fall season. And Baylor has played McNeese State as well. 3-0, totally swept them. UNT fell to them actually in 5 sets. So I think going into this, there is a more favorable team, but you never know what UNT could do. Last season they played Texas State. Texas State came into Mean Green Village undefeated, and I think fans were expecting them to sweep UNT, and they ended up getting an upset, sweeping them 3-0. So never count this UNT team out. But Amanda, you have some information on these coaches here. Both have been here for quite a long time.
North Texas is under the direction of head coach Andrew Paoleo. Paoleo has been here for quite a few years, actually, spending most of his time at the helm of this squad. He's led them to their been here for 9 years, taking over head coaching duties in 2013. He's only endured 1 losing season throughout his time here, overall with a career record at the at UNT of 147 and 100.
Yeah, and Baylor's coming into Denton with a record overall in conference. They are, believe me, they are 8-4 overall. North Texas 9-7. North Texas coming in with more reps, more games overall. They have 2 games more than Baylor in conference that they have played. Their last one, like I said, being against Rice. The last game that Baylor played was against Texas Tech. They played twice against Texas Tech on October 1st and 2nd. The first one, they lost 2-3, so went to 5 sets. That second one, they got it in 3-1 against Texas Tech. So they're here in North Texas. Next, they will be back at home to play Kansas to continue their conference play. And UNT will be playing in a couple of weeks here back at Mean Green Village. They'll be taking on UAB here in a couple of weeks.
Now it is obvious but very important to mention that this Baylor squad is ranked nationally. They are the number 12 program in the nation. And just off the bat, you can really see that here in this first.
And if anyone's going to get that first kill against Baylor, it is Rhett Robinson. Rhett Robinson named all preseason CUSA team, while Baylor has some notables on their side too. They have Yassiana Presley getting preseason all Big 12 team, as well as Avery Skinner, all Big 12 team. Yassiana also got Big 12 Player of the Week the weekend of August 31st, and Avery Skinner got Player of the Week September 27th, more recent.
So one thing that we're noticing here with this Mean Green squad that we haven't seen a lot this year is Sophia Hackstrom in that libero jersey, that green number 4 over Ana Ibarra or Aaliyah Galdera, who typically are the ones sporting that green uniform.
Yeah, we saw Hagstrom really, I would say, make her first debut on the Mean Greens court last week, or last time they were home against Rice. She played as a defensive player, and Ibarra was in the libero jersey, so Paoleo definitely thought she was worthy of having that green jersey on tonight. So we'll see what we see out of the sophomore from Belmont University. She is a transfer and is fitting in quite well with this UNT team. And back to serve, we have number 2, Chanel Bromschreiber in the libero jersey for Baylor. And we have Katie Butler on the UNT side setting again. So last time UNT was at home, Katie Butler was running the 5-1. She was setting all the way around, which is usually what we see out of Kaylee Scopel. No Kaylee Scopel last time, but this time she is back on the bench, but not dressed out.
This is Katie Butler's 4th start as the setter for Paoleo. Paoleo, who we've talked about this more than once, doesn't make his starting lineup until right before the game. So both that, Katie Butler, as well as Sophia Hackstrom, surprises more than anything for us today.
And another surprise was out of number 14, Hannah Sedgwick, attempting that dump. Baylor will get the point on UNT, out ball. And on Baylor side, we have number 21, Elise McGee, going in on the front row for number 3, Emily Van Slate. And number 14, Hannah Sedgwick, back on the line to serve. Off pass by Galdera, Butler unable to get to it, gonna hand it back over to Baylor.
Most recently, this Baylor Bear squad took on Mean Green this year, back in February of 2021. The Mean Green were swept, losing 16, 17, and 13 respectively.
And a pancake attempt is gonna be no good. Both teams, I mean, they're fighting point for point here early on, but we see that a lot out of this UNT team is they fight point for point and then they kind of sit back, or they get that lead and then they sit back.
And you can't do that against this Baylor squad.
Absolutely not. And now will be Rhett Robinson to swing on the outside turn line, and I've talked about how hard that shot is because she goes in pointing her shoulders like she's going to hit cross, but goes over her head and kind of just snaps her wrist. And that snap of the wrist is what gets her so much power. She's not even swinging all the way through, and we see another one hitting that back line for Rhett Robinson. And Truly Levy will go back on the front row for UNT. And Johnson putting it down on the Baylor side, giving it back to UNT. And Katie Butler is back there to serve in her home position, meaning we're back on rotation here for the UNT side. And that'll be number 21, Elise McGee, on the outside for Baylor to get the best of Truly Levy. Number 31, Lauren Harrison, going back in for Baylor on the front row. And number 4, Avery Skinner, is going back to the line to serve. Serve is out. Score now, once again, all tied up. UNT leads now by 1, 7-6 here early on in this first set. And we have Rhett Robinson back there to serve. Off the hands of Robinson, she's going to back row attack it, just barely flies out. Number 1, Callie Williams, going back to serve for Baylor. Number 17, Kara McGee, going back to the bench.
Kara McGee stands at 6'5", one of many over 6 feet tall women on that Baylor side.
Oh yeah, I just can't believe it. When I was looking at that roster and I was looking at the height, and you could see it. You can see the difference. I mentioned this in warm-ups, just the group right next to each other on either sides of the net. You could see Baylor probably has altogether average a half a foot difference on UNT, and that could be the difference of making a block or not.
For sure. Callie Williams with the serve. She stands at 5'9", one of the shorter on the team. She is one of 5 girls on that Baylor squad that is not 6 feet tall. And 5'9" is tall, just in general. But to say that that's one of the shorter on this team, baffling.
And we have Andrea Owens, the freshman on UNT squad, the freshman outside, getting her hand on it there. We saw her early on, I believe in that first North Texas Invitational against McNeese State. She was in a lot. I believe she didn't come out at all. She played all the way around. Then we didn't really see a lot from her, but Paolea was playing her in today, giving her some experience against this tough Big 12 team. So I'm sure he just wants to see her swing away against these big blocks and see what she does.
And if nothing else, it'll be, if she's able to make those, it'll feel good for her, because knowing that you put one down over a team like Baylor.
And Paolea will call his first timeout, and let me tell you what's so pivotal about what just happened. So Rhett Robinson went up on the back row attack, and she got triple blocked, meaning that Baylor knew that Rhett Robinson likes to hit on the back row. So they use her wherever. So he's like, hey, if she goes up, at least two of y'all are going to go up. She just got triple blocked. That means Andrew Paleo's not going to play her there. Say, don't swing from the back row. They're expecting it. If anything, they're looking to shut Rhett Robinson down.
Well, that's fair. We talk about that every time. You need to set the pin for Rhett Robinson. And this time, it's not a reactive thing. They knew what they were coming here to do. They knew the type of team that they were facing. They know that Rhett Robinson is, what she does what she does, and she's never not done that, right? That in the sense of, she is the one that you want to shut down first, and then you have to go through people like Sarah Hausler, and then you got to get through your other outside hitters and things like that. But once you get Rhett Robinson down, then it's not 2 giants that you have to take down. It's only
Exactly.
1 at that point.
Exactly. And this Baylor team, the head coach Ryan Mcguire is a very smart guy coming in and coming into this UNT team. Tell me more about him, Amanda.
So Ryan Mcguire has been at the head of this Baylor Bear program for the past 6 seasons. He's put the program amongst the sport's biggest names and into the national spotlight. He missed the postseason in his first season with Baylor, but has since 2016 led them to at least the second round, in 2019 taking them all the way to the national semifinals, which just goes to show that this Baylor team is not to be messed with.
You are definitely right about that, but Alicia Johnson just also showed she is nothing to be messed with. Got a big block out of her right there. And we see new libero Sophia Hackstrom serving. And on the outside there for Baylor will be number 21, Elise McGee, to hit that one. And Emily Van Slate back to serve for Baylor. Picked up by Owens. Butler out to Owens on the outside. Beautiful dig by Hackstrom. Butler to Owens once again. And they're going to feed Skinner on the back row. Hackstrom helps out for Owens, and Owen gets her first kill against the Big 12 Baylor Bears, getting the best of number 32, Chanel Bramshiner. Aaliyah Galdera going back in to play back row.
You see over there by Aaliyah, just the clump of people.
Oh yeah, we mentioned that this game is sold out here in Mean Green Village, and it's probably not hard to sell this out. You have, 2 sets of bleachers here. It's not a very big complex, so it definitely has that crowded feel here today. And we have number 23, Lauren Briseno, going back to serve for Baylor. She's going to hit that back line, although the whole UNT court is saying it was out. I'm not seeing a lot of motion by Paoleo. I don't think he's going to use a challenge here. Score now 14-9. UNT kind of sitting in it right now. They need to do something epic if they're going to dig themselves out of this hole, because you really can't expect to get in a hole like this against Baylor. And Andrea Owens is going to do it. She swung line and got one for her. Score now 14-10 as Ana Ibarra goes back to serve. We're used to seeing Ana Ibarra in the libero jersey, but we're seeing here out of Paleo that he's getting use of his DSs. All 3 of his DSs are in right now. So Katie Butler is on the front row. She's playing setter and offside hitter. So she's in that right front position. And it's really, really looking good for Paleo in the back row because you have Ibarra, Galdera, and Hackstrom all there. So you have your best defensive players. Nothing is going to hit the ground here. And number 32, Chanel Braun Schrember, his serve is out. And Hausler back to serve for UNT. So Butler to Ibarra there. Ibarra kind of free-balled it over and out. She wasn't quite waiting or ready for that back row attack. She's not quite used to hitting those back row attacks like Rhett Robinson is.
Right.
And usually in their position would be an outside hitter like Rhett Robinson that would be willing to taking those swings on the back row more than a DS. So that wasn't totally wrong out of Katie Butler, just said that. And number 16, Truly Levy, going back in on the front row for UNT while Butler serves. And number 21, Elise McGee, swinging out on the UNT side, giving it back to them. Now they're starting to get it back, right? They're going point for point here. They're digging themselves out. Now it's a 3-point game, 16-13. A great serve out of Butler is going to get them another one.
And one thing I'm noticing here is that this Baylor team is, and we talk about it with the Mean Green squad almost every time, where they get ahead and then they kind of play on their heels and they play back a little bit. And it seems almost as if Baylor is doing that here. They had that 5-point lead, and now it seems like they've kind of pulled back and kind of are now letting the Mean Green make the mistakes, or just not quite, I don't want to say not putting 110% in, but it just sort of feels that way, or as if the fire has kind of gone out.
No, and we talked about that before games. There's either 2 things that happens when you play a team better than you. You either rise to the occasion or you break down. And, you know, we've seen it, like I said, we've seen how this UNT team to rise to the occasion, and they could very well do that here today. And Andrea Owens goes back in on the front row for Ibarra. And that is your outside hitter and a leader in the CUSA kills, Rhett Robinson there, serving and playing back row now. And we saw after that back row attack that she went up on and had the triple block, that's when Paleo started putting his DSs in instead of his hitters in on the back row. But he's keeping her in. Maybe he's going to set it again. And number 1, Callie Williams, back to serve for Baylor. Owens on the outside is going to get the best of Williams. And that is 3 kills here early on in the first set for the freshman. Score is now 18-16. UNT only down by 2 with Sophia Hackstrom going back to serve. And a double block out of Hausler, and Levy will get that one.
Now just hearing that chant.
Oh,
with
it
so
is
many people here
in that like UNT fans are on their feet right now. And there are a mix of Baylor and UNT fans.
Oh yeah,
I think everyone's just glad to be here right now.
Yeah, honestly, and it's not like Waco is too terribly far away, and it's a nice little road trip if nothing else. You know, you make it up here, you get to hang out and kind of check out what's going on.
It is only about 2 hours, right?
Yes.
And Emily Van Slate serving now. Owens gets that one, and Hausler with an attempt of a tip. Hagstrom's going to get that one. They're going to call a double. I'm not really sure where I saw that.
Seems like a
However,
very
what we
delayed
saw
call.
was Hausler getting blocked and Hagstrom getting a great save to keep the ball alive. Paleo now hitting his timeout button. We talk about the number 17 a lot in this game and how fast this game goes past. It's a 7-second every rally, averaging 7 seconds, because we definitely saw a lot more than that out of Rice last time. But point 17 is very crucial. That's where if you're down, you need to kick up the gas. And we're hearing UNT fans clapping for setter Callie Scopel. About 30 seconds coming out of this timeout. UNT needing to kick up the gear a little bit more. It's 17-20, not too much though.
Right.
This is a lot better of a position that they're in than we usually see them in. Or I wouldn't say usually, sometimes see them in. They could be way further down than what they are right now.
Comparatively, that I'm mostly going to go back to that February game of this year because it's going to be a very similar squad that we're seeing tonight versus that day on both sides. And Baylor held them to 16, 17, and 13. And we're already at that 17 point. It doesn't look like the Mean Green have run out of fight yet. So I really think this still, the night is young.
I think going into this, there's definitely one team better than the other. But like we said, they can either rise to the occasion or just sit and take it. And this UNT team is not taking it.
Right.
And Emily Van Slate will go back and serve once again, 21-17 here late in the first set.
And even if it is a thing of rising to the occasion or not quite getting there type of thing, if the Mean Green can pull a win out of this, then you just get to walk around and talk about how you beat Baylor. Last year, you got to see it with Texas State. We beat Texas State. In Mean Green softball, beating Oklahoma, we beat Oklahoma. You get to walk around with that pride, thinking that you just did that. That just happened, and honestly, that can legitimately make a season.
The ultimate bragging rights.
If you upset someone, in this case, this is a ranked team, you will get bragging rights for the rest of the year.
And number 31, Lauren Harrison, on the outside will get that one off of the block. Handing the ball over to number 23. Butler out to Owens. She's off the net. And Hausler gets up and gets it. Score now 23-19 as Anna Ibarra heads back to line to serve for UNT. Roll shot by Robinson, almost gets it. And that'll be number 4, Avery Skinner on the outside, off the block to get that one for Baylor. It's Baylor's game point, 24-19.
It'll be interesting to see, should Baylor get this point, if Sophia Hackstrom will continue to wear that libero jersey into that second set.
I would say yes.
She's done very well.
She really has not messed up. I think what she could do more is, and I'm not on the court. It would be different if I was on the court. But the libero is very much a leader and a talker, and you and the setter lead the team. So that, maybe hearing more of a voice from her. But we'll have that second set in just a little bit. Stick with us. And welcome back. We're bringing you the second set here of this matchup between the Baylor Bears and the UNT Mean Green. Amanda, kind of break down that first set for me. Baylor got the win, but UNT fought pretty good.
Well, just based entirely off of hit percentages, Baylor controlled that game from the beginning with a 214 hit percentage, which the more you think about it is not particularly high. But in comparison to the Mean Green, who had a hit percentage of 061, that's kind of a big difference. Lauren Harrison led the Bears with a 429 hit percentage, getting 4 kills on 7 attempts, whereas Rhett Robinson only hit 077 with 5 kills on 13 attempts. The Mean Green were led by Andrea Owens, who hit 429, which was 3 successes on 7 attempts.
No, and you could definitely tell that, they weren't hitting anything super special.
No.
They weren't doing anything that this UNT team hasn't seen. I would say they're just more put together and more consistent than this UNT team.
It also looked a lot like Baylor didn't need to worry too much. It was a lot of let's capitalize on balls that are hit out of play, balls that look like they're close to the line or might have been touched, and just kind of capitalize on errors made on that
A lot
Mean
of
Green
the errors
side.
came from UNT's block. And what's happening there is that these Baylor players are so tall and they get up so high. They get up so high that they are getting on top of this UNT block, so it's bouncing up and out. So what I would tell my blockers is wait on it. About half a second after you would usually set that block, go up on it, because as they're kind of coming and hitting their advantage point, UNT is going up, so they're having a better chance.
We were talking earlier about the potential of seeing Sophia Hackstrom in that libero jersey. This second set looks like it's been switched over to Ana Ibarra. We see Sophia Hackstrom wearing the standard white uniform for tonight.
And Robinson once again feeding on the outside, getting the best of Baylor's libero over there. Getting one more for her. UNT leading early on 2-0. Hausler back to serve for UNT. It's off the net for Baylor. And I believe the ball did not cross the plane there, so that should have been 4 hits, but they're letting them play it out. Avery Skinner to get that one back over, gets the best of Aaliyah Galdera. They'll hand it over to Baylor. And number 32, Chanel Bramschreiber, back to serve for Baylor. Butler out to Robinson. Setting Skinner, falling right in front of Ana Ibarra. She'll get that one for her team. All tied up here 2-2 in this second set. Bramschreiber still serving. Hagstrom's pass is on the net for Katie Butler. Ibarra helps out to Robinson. They're going to call her hit out. UNT is kind of calling for it. I can't tell. They're looking back at Paoleo like, are you going to challenge that?
It looks like Paoleo is not messing with anything tonight. Doesn't want to get into it right away, especially right here where it's not a large deficit. And clearly,
that's what we call the ball is always right. So I bet that's what that UNT bench was saying, was the ball is always right, because that next point is for the other side. And Skinner out the outside will be shut down by Truly Levy, number 16. We talked about her a lot. She's not the top on the UNT team.
No, but she gets up there like nobody's business.
Oh, yeah. She is 5'10", shortest on the net by far between Johnson and Robinson, but she gets up. Didn't quite get up on that one, but the one before, oh, my gosh.
No, and honestly, if you're Truly Levy and you are only 5'10", it doesn't matter if you can go up and you can set that block like that, right? We're talking about how tall this Baylor squad is, all being 6'3" and above, and, you know, they don't have to try nearly as hard. But as we all saw, it was so much more impressive to see Levy get up there and put that ball down.
And Robinson will go back to serve, and we're seeing Avery Skinner go in for Sophia Hackstrom on the front row. She did not make an appearance in that first set, but you can tell that Andrew Palaio's trying to give Baylor something else to look at, and Avery Skinner just made that look so easy. She went line, and McCrillis didn't really get a chance to get up on block because the set was so fast, and she got up so fast. And Skinner going back to serve now for Baylor.
Skinner, a transfer from Kentucky.
And a single block will turn that one down on UNT side. UNT still down, but this time by 1. Baylor leading 6-5 with Avery Skinner still on the back line serving. Little off pass and miscommunication there for North Texas. Hand it back over to Baylor.
Avery Skinner is a transfer from Kentucky, as I just said, a grad transfer. In her 5th and final season of collegiate volleyball, her father is Braun Skinner, 14-year NBA veteran. Just a quick little fun fact about her and her dad, who played basketball for the Baylor Bears.
Wow. Kind of taking it back home to family tradition there. And you could just tell out of this girl, she is an athlete.
Oh, for sure.
Beautiful short serve is picked up by Rhett Robinson. I thought that hit the ground, but I could be wrong. Andrew Palaio going to call his first time out of this set.
And
score 9-5, not that big of a deficit there.
However, it is a 5-0 scoring run for these Baylor Bears, so, you know, do with that information what you will. Want to ice them out, especially, you know, we were just talking about it, Skinner is an athlete. There's no way she's getting tired. She's just going to keep swinging away, just placing them wherever she wants to place them.
Oh, yeah, standing at 6'1", she kind of falls in that average that you were talking about. Yeah, I would say that's about average for this team. But 6'1" being the average?
That's outrageous. Her sister, Maddie Skinner, continues to play for University of Kentucky. She is one of 3 sets of sisters that are represented on this Baylor squad.
About 20 seconds coming out of this timeout. UNT really needs to, I would say all the way around, just give your setter more of a chance to set her hitters. I feel like she hasn't had enough of a chance to get set, and that starts with I wouldn't say the bottom of the food chain, but where it starts, which is with the pass. The liberos, or the DSs, the libero needs to get better passes to her setter. Katie Butler needs to get in her spot and just wait, is basically what needs to happen. You got Levy, you got Johnson, you got McCrillis, you got these threats on the offensive on the front row. Use them. And we see Casey Bortnam now going into play back row for Rhett Robinson. Give her some time, sit.
Casey Bortnam, like you talk about more often than not, Corinth native from right down the road. One of many of these players tonight representing the great state of Texas. Most of this Mean Green squad is comprised of Texas native, as well as 11 of the Baylor Bears, also from the state of Texas. 2 from the DFW area, 2 from San Antonio, and then 6 from the Houston area.
Texas is definitely very dominating in volleyball, especially at you know, those lower levels where colleges are looking to recruit, those high school, those club programs. Club in Texas is absolutely insane.
Sure,
people take it so seriously, especially DFW area is such a hot spot for that. A lot of the big tournaments would be held in Dallas. So a lot of talent to come out of this area here. Not surprising to see these girls absolutely showing out. And we still have Avery Skinner back there serving.
So much for icing her out. Now on a 7-0 scoring run.
She's yo-yoing this North Texas team, and what I mean by that is she's like deep serve, short serve, deep serve, short serve.
Well, and it's working for her.
Well, yeah, as soon as, so that short serve comes, and, you know, then they pull up. Then the serve-receive defense pulls up, and then you hit them deep, and then they can't defend it. So great tactic for her in serving and that coaching squad there. And Anna Ibarra shanks that one, giving it back to Baylor. Baylor now doubling UNT's points, 12-6 here, about mid-range through this second set. And we have number 1, Callie Williams, going back to serve. You mentioned that she's 5'9", but next to this, the rest of this Baylor team, she looks puny.
For sure. And for reference, right, I'm 5'10". I go stand on the ground, and all of a sudden, I looked tiny. And I'm a tall person, and up here I feel like, oh, it's no big deal, I'm about the same height as most of these girls. I am not. I am most definitely not.
And we saw a little bit of miscommunication there at UNT, on UNT's side, and that could be really detrimental to the morale of your team when, a ball falls and no one touching it, and that should have never happened. People start to blame each other when you're on a team, especially a team of all females. People start to blame each other, and then you kind of get this downward spiral. But we know about this UNT team that they are tight.
Yeah.
They're very close friends, so hopefully we don't see that spiral down there here. But you could even tell if UNT is friends, then all of Baylor's whole team are best friends.
Oh, for sure.
That's the way that they're playing right now.
No, that's how most collegiate athletics are. You don't really have a lot of time to spend, outside of, this group of girls that you're with, 24/7. You have the time to go to class and, maybe some time to study and kind of hang out with maybe outside people. But for the most part, this is your go-to group, right? These are the girls that know everything about you. These are the girls that we talked about it a little bit last season. Barbara Martin, who now plays beach volleyball at SFA, was a senior last year. She got married, and most of her bridesmaids were Mean Green squad members.
Hold on, I'm pretty sure all of her bridesmaids were UNT players. Not only that, they used her bachelorette party as a team building exercise, I found out, so that was pretty cool to see that. And, and they're still all pretty close. UNT having a chance to set it up here, a little too high for Hausler. She's used to those kind of just a flick of the wrist sets out of Scopel, so it's going to give some time for Hausler and Butler to get that chemistry down. And number 10, Marieke Vandermark will get that one.
She is the tallest on this Baylor Bear squad, standing at 6'6" from the Netherlands.
And Baylor just taking it away here from this UNT team. It's 16-7. We're about to hit that 17 point, that crucial point, and UNT hasn't even broke 10 yet here. So Palaleo is sitting and listening here in this timeout. He's letting his assistant coaches do the work and talk to them. It's got to be frustrating as a coach to see the same things happen, and that just goes with the job, But UNT, what they need to do, kind of settle down. They need a speaking voice. They need a player to be like, hey, let's turn this around. We need to get out of this rut, and I feel like they don't have that right now. They have a few players that are kind of leading. Yeah. You have Rhett Robinson, who's a leader. You have Sarah Hausler, that's in there all the time. You got Kaylee Scopel, who usually is a leader.
Who is the captain?
She is the captain. That's been handed over to Katie Butler. So
it's also hard to, it doesn't matter what team you are, really. When you are down 7-16, it's tough. It's so hard to try to crawl your way back from that one. You kind of just want this one to get over and be just move on to that next one.
And both teams back on the court here. We have number 3, Emily Van Slate, going back to line to serve for Baylor. Picked up by Ibarra. Butler to Hausler running the hitch. And a dump directly to Galdera is picked up Owens. And number 31, Lauren Harrison to get that one for Baylor. Harrison being a very aggressive presence here on the net. She hit that back corner. Such a hard spot to hit. But you could tell out of these Baylor hitters that it's not just enough to, you know, hit a hard ball and get it over the net and hit your zones, but to be more picky about it and target certain players. Butler to Owens on the outside. Owens gets that one. A great set by Butler. Giving UNT back the ball. And we have Hackstrom going in for Owens. Hackstrom, we mentioned, was in the libero jersey in set 1. She's in her regular whites as the rest of the team here in set 2. And we have the senior Anna Ibarra back in the libero jersey. Butler out to Robinson, not able to get an approach, so she tips. It works. Single block by Sarah Hausler is picked up. Free ball for UNT. They're going to run Hausler with the hitch a little too early on that approach. And number 4, Avery Skinner, the grad student transfer, gets a backer attack out of absolutely nowhere.
That was a rocket.
I had no idea where she was setting that ball. I had no idea what would happen. She just comes out swinging.
Well, you could tell that really came out of nowhere. Everyone, the reaction in this room was just a big gasp, and then
a big gasp. And if you look on everyone's faces,
jaws were
they
on the
look
floor.
the exact same as yours. I mean,
jaws were on the floor, mine included.
Whoa! Avery Skinner on the outside again. It looks like she has no blockers. What her results are, the way that she keeps the ball in front of her body and doesn't run up on it like we usually see, that's where all that power is coming from. And she's like, hey, I have an open net, because she approaches so fast that blockers can't keep up with her. Robinson's going to swing on the outside saying, I can do it too. Butler out to Robinson again, right into the block of number 10, Marieke van der Mark. She'll get that one for her stat sheet. And number 23, Lauren Briseno, back to serve for Baylor. Picked up by Galdera. It's off the net. Out to Skinner on the outside. Skinner, once again, there is no stopping this girl. I would say Anna Ibarra was in the exact right spot she would be, except for maybe her right foot half a step to the right. But she would have gotten there with any other hitter. She would have had time. But with Avery Skinner, you don't have time to move. When she hits that ball, you better be in the exact right spot to pass it.
It's like you need to be like seeing the future with her, because by the time she's made contact with that ball, it is too late.
Even off the block, for the block to delay it. That play right there, she hit it right into the block, and they were still unable to chase it down. That's how powerful she is. We still have Lauren Briseno serving for Baylor. Galdera's pass is on the net for Butler, a tip out of Hausler. And Skinner on the outside again is going to hit the cut. Hausler with the dump is picked up. They're going to feed Skinner. Butler out to Robinson on the outside. UNT inching their way back here as Sarah Hausler heads back to the line to serve. Score now 22-9 here in the second set. Baylor taking the first one. A lot of motion going on there at the net, and none of it is called. I saw a double earlier. That wasn't called. I feel like the refs are not going to call anything here tonight. And that goes a lot into play of how a game goes, is the type of refs that you have. You have those really, really nitpicky ones that are going to pick at everything that they could possibly do, and they just want to blow their whistle. But then you also just have the chill ones that are like, let's let them play. And that's what we're seeing a lot of here tonight. And number 2, libero, Chanel Bramschreiber, back to serve for Baylor. Butler to Robinson on the outside. Really high ball benefits her. She doesn't swing, uses her tip, and hits that middle hole perfectly, giving the ball to Katie Butler. They're back at the beginning of their rotation here. Baylor's game point 24 and UNT 10. And it'll be number 17, Kara McGee, to get that one for UNT. UNT having a little bit of a powwow going into this third set, hoping to change something.
So with the 10 points scored by the Mean Green, that is the lowest scoring set in recent history for the Mean Green against this Baylor squad. The lowest before that was 13. But we will be right back here on YouTube at Mean Green Sports or Conference USA TV right after this.
Welcome back for this third set against UNT versus Baylor here in Mean Green Village. And let's talk a little bit about both teams in the future here. UNT will play Southern Miss, and it is a conference game here next week. And then they will also play UAB at UAB here October 15th and 16th. Then going on the road again to play UTSA October 21st and 22nd. And then they'll come back and play Tarleton. Here at home, another very high-profile game, so we should see a lot showing out, a lot of fans showing out like they did here today. And Amanda, kind of break down Baylor's rest of their schedule for me.
So this upcoming weekend, actually tomorrow and Friday, next week, Thursday and Friday, they will take on Big 12 foe, Kansas, University of Kansas. In Waco, they will then go on to take West Virginia in West Virginia. They'll play Texas, 2-game series against Texas in Waco, TCU, Iowa State, and then rounding out their conference play with Oklahoma the last week of November.
Wow, Avery Skinner is going to be seeing her old team there out of Kansas in just a little bit. And starting off this third set, Baylor getting the first point, and Ibarra with a great pancake there. And number 14 setter, Hannah Sedgwick, will get up to dump that one. Sedgwick is 6'1". That's a pretty tall setter. So that gives her more opportunities to get those trick shots in and get those dumps over. And once again, on the UNT side, that's another ball that was popped up and then no one went for it. It's just a huge morale, just like defeat there when that happens. It's just so deflating to, it kind of gives a player a sense of, why am I going to do all this when my team isn't going to back me up? So that's definitely something you don't want to happen.
You don't see it whenever they do their little huddles between points, so doesn't seem like it's something to be worried about, at least now.
And Rhett Robinson back to serve, score now 3-1, Baylor leading early on in this third set. Baylor also leading in sets 2-0. They have the chance to shut out UNT here and then get back on the road, back home to Waco. And Skinner on the outside is gonna hit that back line. I don't know how she does that, Amanda, because if I would have seen that ball about midpoint, I would have definitely thought it soared out. And actually, I know how she did that. A great snap at the wrist at the end there to get that down spin, top spin, to get that ball down on that back line. And hold on, that is Andrea Owens on the outside, but that's not why I'm saying hold on. That was set by Casey Bortnam, the senior libero slash setter type of thing. She likes to play defense, and that's where Paoleo usually plays her. She's a very lively player and a great leader when she's put into those roles. So it should be good seeing her set here, have a more experienced and seasoned player with this team take over here in this third set. I think is a great call by Paoleo. And Anna Ibarra back to serve for UNT. Set Skinner on the offside. Bortnam to Owens. Set Skinner on the offside again, and Casey Bortnam plays defense. A great dig. Skinner again on the offside, this time giving UNT a chance to set up. Owens right into Skinner's hands. Gonna get that one for Baylor. And 31, Lauren Harrison making her way back to the front row. And Skinner serving, score now 5-3 early on, Baylor leading.
Now it's important to mention that Skinner is approaching 1,000 career kills between both Kentucky as well as Baylor. Coming into this game tonight, she was at 973 and needed 27 to hit that milestone. And well, she's hit 15 so far, so she's reaching that 10 countdown.
And we saw Avery McCrillis make her first kill of the night here, and she is back to line serving for UNT. Skinner gets another one. but off a tip, her high hand is what made that work. She didn't shrink herself down. She has a great way of using her body. She's a pretty tall girl. She can get up and get big on the net, and she utilizes all of her resources. And number 3, Van Slate, back to serve for Baylor. Picked up by Ibarra. Butler back in, and she sets Hausler, this time working out. Hausler was a little bit off the net there, but she still used her tip. It fell in the perfect spot to get the best of Baylor. And now we have libero Sophia Hackstrom, not in the libero jersey right now, but she was in the first set. Then Andrew Paleo moved it over to Ana Ibarra, the senior and the veteran. She's more experienced, so in a situation like this, that's totally natural, but still playing Hackstrom in the position of a defensive player so she could get those reps in. Butler out to Robinson, hits the line, gets up on block. Robinson again hits that cut this time. Skinner off the back row is picked up by Ibarra. Butler out to Robinson again. Skinner picking it up. And Lauren Harrison's hit flies out, giving it back to UNT. We have a tied up game here, 6-6. Hagstrom still serving.
So you're hoping for the Mean Green that this is going to be good for a run, at least for a little bit. This is about where the Mean Green kind of hit a brick wall in this last set, only ultimately scoring 4 more points. So just kind of keeping it out of that, those Baylor arms. It's kind of the goal right now if you're the Mean Green.
For sure, and we saw that out of Rhett Robinson. She got blocked, she picked it up. The next time that she was set, she went out of her way to turn her body and hit that cut because she knew that the line and the cross was not open. That's a big block, and when you got a hitter going up, it really comes down to that libero or that defensive player to tell her what is open. Because when you're that close to the net and that close to hands, you can't see it. And Harrison going up on the outside is denied by Hausler. Skinner to down ball it over. Butler to Hausler on the hitch is picked up by Williams. Butler out to Robinson this time, a little bit too far outside for her, but she still gets it. It's gonna fall, I would assume, off the knee of Ana Ibarra, but a great rally. And what I was just talking about, Rhett Robinson isn't afraid to move her body and contort her body in some ways to get that. She actually fell into the scoreboard right there.
There was a solid clunk that I heard, and I was sure that was her.
Butler out to Robinson. She's off the net this time. Wow, what a fast hit. Harrison free balling it over. Free ball too far on the net for Butler. Skinner absolutely leaping out of that back row. She really just comes out of nowhere. I'm pretty sure she takes off on her jump well in front of that 10-foot line and ends up probably in between the 10-foot line and the net. So she just absolutely comes out of nowhere, and it's fast.
Now, Skinner is pursuing her graduate degree in speech language pathology. However, if she wanted to go into a career as a ninja, she'd probably be good at it too.
As a ninja?
Yeah, coming out of nowhere all the time.
Oh, yeah. This girl is an athlete. And we have Callie Williams serving now for Baylor. Butler to Hausler is picked up just barely by Baylor. And Rhett Robinson doing a great job of misdirection. And I've mentioned before that when she goes in and hits, she doesn't turn. She does a great job of just deceiving that defense because she'll go in looking like she's going cross and totally turn. And that was a great job going up on that tip and just turning her hands to the side where no one was there. Sophia Hackstrom running that one out, just showing what we're saying, that UNT isn't going to let a ball drop here. And Robinson gets another one with just a roll shot. I think that's showing that working smarter and not harder. Don't swing out right now. You don't have the capacity to swing out right now. Use your tip, use your pushes.
Sure, and across the past 2 sets as well, I've noticed that that back line, that back corner, for Baylor, they have a tendency to kind of fall trying to get the ball, and then it's just out of their reach. And it seems to be around the same spot every time. And so if Robinson's picked up on that, then she knows that that's almost a guaranteed point every time.
And we have number 3, Lauren Briseno, back to serve for Baylor. Score 11-8, UNT down by 3 here, but well within their means to earn that back. Although Alicia Johnson is denied on her middle hit, giving it back to Baylor. Picked up by Galdera. Butler on the net for Robinson. Out to Skinner on the outside, and just all the UNT fans just put up the 2. They said that was a double, but like I mentioned about these refs, they're really, really chill. They're not calling anything here.
Well, not only that, it's not necessarily they're not calling, but neither of these coaches have called for a challenge tonight.
No, I think they're coming out. It's non-conference. It's not very, even though there's a lot of fans here, it's because it's a popular game.
Right.
It's not a high-stakes game at all. Both coaches are not stressing about it. The refs are not stressing about it, although I do think that one was a double. And there's been some questionable calls here, or not, I guess non-calls. That I was like, why didn't you call that? But, yeah, both teams are very chill here. They just want to play. And we see that out of Andrew Paleo. Andrew Paleo not even really taking charge here in his timeouts. His assistant coach called the timeout. He's talking during the timeout. So he's like, you know what? We're just gonna let the girls play here.
Which is interesting because that's Aaron Hastings. He's in his first year as an assistant coach for this program. All of the assistant coaches for Paleo are in their first year here. But he's been leading most, if not all, of the timeouts both tonight and recently. We've seen him taking charge of most of those little timeout huddles, and Paleo only really getting in there when it's a major deal or a major situation like we saw with Rice. But
and when you're Andrew Paleo and you've been with UNT as long as you have, you can do that.
Right. There's a mutual respect there, that and an understanding that, look, I understand that I'm running this program. However, you know, everyone else has to learn at some point in time, because.
And another one out of Rhett Robinson. Bortnam going back in to set for Katie Butler and to serve here, with McCrillis making another appearance on the front row for UNT. And set Skinner, and wow!
She is now 9 away.
I don't know if it conveys over TV or you just gotta trust me, but I have never seen a hit like that, because Rhett Robinson, where she was probably a little bit further back on defense than she would have been. She probably should have been a couple of steps further in front of her to give Ana Ibarra more of a range to play defense. But they were so close to each other, and that ball fell right to the left of Ibarra and to the right of Robinson. That is a fast and powerful ball. They don't want anything of it.
She's now 9 away from that career milestone of 1,000. Very quickly looking like something she can obtain tonight.
And number 14, Sedgwick, will get that one for Baylor. And you mentioned Avery Skinner reaching 1,000 kills. Rhett Robinson has already reached that in their first tournament, the North Texas Invitational here in Mean Green Village. So she's already made that milestone. I'm not surprised that Skinner hasn't, though, because you can tell that Rhett Robinson, from once she got to UNT, she's been starting. And so she has a chance to get those reps in. And Skinner, being at more of a cut-through program like Kentucky, she obviously was way more seasoned when she got to Baylor, but with Kentucky, probably didn't get that many reps in, so she's unable to get her numbers on her stat sheet up.
And one thing we talked about was the difference in these two schools, UNT being a Conference USA school and Skinner coming from Kentucky, which is an SEC school. Granted, she was an all-SEC tournament player in 2017 and had been there more than once, it's still the SEC. It's still the Big 12 with Baylor. These are not, small programs. These are these big nationally ranked programs on a consistent basis. You're not going to see the playing time that Robinson has seen. You're not going to see the opportunities nearly as often. Or when you do get the opportunity, the ball might not come to you as often as, you need it to in order to reach something like a 1,000 career kill mark.
Exactly, and you can tell that if a player gets to that 1,000th kill mark, that means that at every program that they were at, they had to be getting good numbers. So, especially for Rhett Robinson, like I said, she walked into UNT and immediately started getting fed. Not only with play, but she was the main outlet for them. And score now 17-13. Baylor's at that crucial 17-point moment as Aaliyah Galdera goes in, and something we haven't really seen out of Palileo in the season that I'm seeing here tonight is that he's putting most of his defensive specialists in the back row, and usually he decides to play his outside hitters all the way around. That could be for multiple reasons. That could be to save on subs. That could be more of a outlet if they absolutely have to set back row, then they have a hitter on the back row. But here tonight, he's really just focusing on defense and getting a good ball so that Butler and Fortnum can set their hitters. And Sophia Hackstrom going in to serve and to play defense for Andrea Owens. And that will be number 21, Elise McGee, on the offside. Score now 18-14. UNT only down by 4. This is very, very, achievable for UNT to get to. Callie Williams back there to serve for Baylor. Picked up by Galdera, but off. Robinson has to help out. Williams back to Sedgwick, getting the best of Hagstrom. Will make it 19-4 here in this third set. Baylor having every means to take this away from UNT, a sweep, and get back on the bus to go home. Picked up but off the net for UNT. Robinson with a quick roll shot. And they set Skinner. Beautiful up by Hagstrom. Robinson getting the best of Skinner on that one. And UNT's bench calling for a double. UNT calling for a double from Baylor, but they're going to give a double to UNT. And we see a timeout come out of Andrew Palileo. I don't know where that came from.
Honestly, me neither. I saw the call for the double from the bench, like you said. I saw the call from the down ref for the double, but I saw the point go to Baylor.
Very confusing.
And then the up ref look at Palileo and say, that's on me. But
so usually they change it. No, and I saw that too.
Okay.
Either he was patting his chest to say, I called it, I saw it, or that's on me, my bad. But if it was that's on me, my bad, he was switched his hands.
Exactly. That's why I'm a little confused.
Yes, yes. As you should be. I am as well.
I saw everything you saw. I saw everything else that everyone else saw, but something just didn't click clearly for one of us. UNT out of their huddle very quickly. Baylor taking their time, using all of their minute they were given.
I mean, and by third set, there's not a lot of things going on that haven't been going on. A lot of times, coaches will call the timeout just to stop the run and then say, hey, you figure it out yourselves. Or he'll say, I just called it to call the timeout. You all talk amongst yourselves and talk about what you're going to do to win this game.
6-point deficit for the Mean Green. Baylor leading 20-14 on a 3-0 scoring run.
Short serve is picked up by Hauser. Butler to Robinson. And it looks like in that timeout, they decided for Robinson to come and run the 3. The three is a outside hitter coming in and hitting a high middle. And even with that high middle, Robinson still had at least 2 blockers and still was able to penetrate those hands. Great run through by Hackstrom will keep the ball alive. Galdera helps out with Robinson. And I don't know if you saw that picture-perfect shot of her wrist turning, but do you know what I mean? How she looks exactly like she's hitting either the cut or the cross and just whoosh right over her head.
I need you to understand how I saw this in my head. It was all slow motion, and then it looked like everything just zoomed in on her, and it was just ding.
That's the perfect sound effect with that.
Yeah, exactly. And then no one was there on the Baylor side to take care of it, and so all of a sudden, what was, a four of
and that's 2 big plays for UNT. Huge morale boost. You should see this bench right now. UNT fans are calling for a double again. And Butler says, I don't care. I'm going to put it down myself. Katie Butler with the offhand dump will turn this game into a 2-point game here.
And Angie Palaleo, who is not typically a very high energy, high stress kind of coach, kind of getting in the face of this down ref, trying to tell him something that is or is not being called, as we've seen tonight. Got some upset fans around us.
Yeah, the UNT fans just absolutely calling for it. And now they're getting a little bit annoyed with not calling anything.
Well, and to be honest, it's not unwarranted. It's been kind of everything. And for the longest time, it wasn't being called at all. But as soon as that double got called, you pretty much just let the cat out of the bag. You know that now if you don't call something, it's gonna be called out, rightfully so too.
And Red Robinson serving an absolute bomb to Baylor.
Oh my goodness.
Once again, 2-point deficit game. UNT is not gonna let anything stop them from taking this set from Baylor at this point. That's 3 giant plays in 4 different rallies. If you need a morale boost, Rhett Robinson is the one to give it to you.
For sure.
But don't be surprised to see Avery Skinner, and that's actually going to be Marika Vandermark, number 10 middle blocker. And that girl is the 6'6" outside hitter senior. Serve is picked up by Ibarra, but over. UNT trying to scrap up and get that ball back is not enough. Score now 23-19. Baylor so close to take this away from UNT in 3 sets, a complete sweep.
It's one of those things, that second set really just did not go well for the Mean Green at all. And so you got to come back and you got to at least make yourself feel a little bit better, putting up a fight, showing them that that second set was just something funky happened. That was not how that was supposed to go, obviously showing out here with 20 points.
And the down ref finding Skinner in the net will give it back to UNT. Score now 24-20. It's game point for Baylor here. They will take it away from UNT after this point. 3-0 here in Mean Green Village, then get back on the bus and go home. Off the chest of Owens, it'll be Bortnum to Owens.
How intense was this third set?
You could just tell that that is not how they wanted that last point to go. In my opinion, she was a little over the net, but I guess that could be discussed for another day. I'm your host, Mercedes Aragosa. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for sticking with us. And I have with me Amanda Batchelder. And everyone have a great night. Stay safe, and see you next time.